Hi, and welcome to Not the Fuck Gaming Podcast, a podcast where we talk about games and sometimes we don't say fuck. I am William Hououin, and I'm with.
Gruebitten.
All right, true or false? I had to go listen to an opening of the show to remember how to do the opening of the show.
I'm going to say true.
Bingo, you got it right. That is true. Um, So we will record a show today. It's not going to be that great. We've been having some issues with our recording. There's always some echo, and right now the only solution we have is to use push to talk. And every time we press the push to talk, there's a little sound like a beep coming up, and it's going to be incredibly annoying. But we scheduled it, and we are here, and we're not sick, so we're going to record the show, but it might be a bit awkward. But it is what it is. How are you, Guru?
I'm fine. And please try to forgive all the little bips. That's got to be annoying, but it's less annoying than the echo was. That was unlistenable. Seriously unlistenable. So this is our little workaround for this week.
Yes. Yes. All right. So before I forget, I'm going to read the comment we got last time. And last time is November. So good luck with remembering what was happening. So first we have Zach saying, "Hey, I listened to the episode. I am the typo king. All those with fat fingers kneel before the master of the misspell. Best game this year for me." Takes a deep breath. Baldur's Gate 3, Remnant 2, Dave the Diver, For the King 2, and WWE 2K23. Just the GM mode. Yeah, Zach is just playing GM mode. He doesn't know how to play the actual game. He's just playing like the mode where he's like the manager of a wrestling team. Worst game for Zach is Redfall, Redfall, Redfall. Starfield, not terrible to play, just an overwhelming amount of meh riding a wave of high specs. And Redfall. And let me think, fucking Redfall. For the question, the internet is, yes, the question, the stupid question of the show was in one sentence, like, tell me what the internet is. So he's saying the internet is, well, talking about Typo King, he's actually saying the internet is, but, it's the internet. The internet is the beginning of the human collective evolution into a hive mind. Have a happy holidays, you guys, and a Merry Christmas. Hashtag watch Die Hard Xmas. I'm doing it again. Hashtag watch Die Hard. It's an Xmas movie. All right, thank you, Zach, for your comment. Any now Gru is completely silent while I read all the thing because the freaking echo thing. But any comments, Gru?
Yes, I get the impression that he really, really loved Redfall.
He sure does. He did a whole playthrough with Neil, his podcast co-host, and the amount of bug and bad stuff happening was kind of crazy. It was not a very well-made game, to say the least.
This push to talk thing is really annoying, but yeah. I don't know what to say.
It's absolutely crazy. And
it is. I have ADHD, and it's like the having to plan things out when I talk is just so not me. But
yeah,
at least I'm not constantly interrupting you.
I suppose. Just now we were both in push to talk, and there was no echo. So maybe we can take some risk sometimes. And if there's echo, we just let go of the button. That's not going to be our best show, is it? All right. Next, we have Mike saying, "Dang it, Craig, record the voices right. Get back to work." Well, let me tell you, Mike, Craig did not get back to work. And after all, I think it's not Craig. I think it's really like Discord, because when we were like doing our little mic check, there was a lot of echo and Craig was not here. So it was It was misinformation. Craig is not the culprit. The culprit is Discord. And we
Craig
don't.
was unfairly accused.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, we tried a bunch of things and nothing seems to work. And seems Gru did a little research and seems we are not the only one having issues with Discord voice chat. So yeah, we'll see. Even people like using OBS said they were having issues with recording voices. So I don't know what's happening, but anyway. He continues with, my best games that I've played were Cat Quest 2. It improves on the original in every way. WoW as a free-to-play. You can get a surprising amount of content for free. Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster, a well-done remaster of a grindy original. The internet is easier communication for good or ill. Well, let me tell you, today I feel it's pretty ill. But thanks for your comment, Mike. A belated thank you. But anyway, that was a comment from last show.
Any others?
Of course, I was talking without having pushed to fucking okay.
Oh,
No,
God.
no other comments. That was it. So Gru, what have you been playing since we last spoke? I know you've had a busy life since November, so maybe your gaming time was not at its best. But have you played something since the last episode?
Yes, in real life, I moved, so I was not doing much gaming or anything else for a while. Just all sorts of packing and boxes and moving. But however, that's done with now, and I'm settled in a new place, and it's a lot nicer, and things have calmed down, and I've slept enough for like a year. I think I got that last box moved in. I'm like to bed for a week.
Yeah, moving during the holidays. What a time. What a time.
It was not my brightest idea. Let me say that. Really terrible idea. I forgot what. Oh yes, what games I've been playing. Well, I've had the really unusual, weird, and interesting experience of playing a dying game now because, as y'all know, I love the really, really badly managed MMO Chimera Land. And it was badly managed to the point where they're shutting it down. At the end of March, it will close its doors forever. And except in China, apparently they're keeping the China server running. But I don't read Chinese, I don't speak Chinese, and I have learned that you have to download Talk or Tap Talk or what is it? Oh God, I forgot what it's called. But anyways,
Yeah, I think it's like Tap Talk. I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to download that and make an account there in order to sign in to the Chinese server. So I'm like, yeah, no thanks. Anyways, plus, and let's face it, Chimera Land was sucking up a lot of my time. It takes a lot of grinding to progress, and I'm like, you know what? This is a good opportunity for me to spend some more time doing things that are a little more enriching to my life. So, I decided to just not restart again in China. But the experience of playing in a game that is ending was really, really interesting. It, of course, is still up and running until the end of March. The first 2-3 days after the announcement came up on the sign-in screen, everybody was talking in World. And what are we going to play now? What games are good? And giving recommendations and trying to figure out where they're going to next. And then silence. They all left.
Well,
All the long-term players and stuff, they all left. And
Yeah, because and it's always the case when you think about it. Playing an MMO is somewhat meaningless anyway. But when you know the game is going to disappear, there, everything you do will be wiped out at the end of the month. Then again, everything we do in an MMO that's not closing down at the end of the month will be wiped out at some point. But when you know when's the finish line, it becomes really pointless. The perspective changes. Anyway.
absolutely, it does. I'm not saying it was wrong to leave, but I decided to stay and just see, and it was fascinating. And then, but the people who were left were people who had joined just before the announcement or joined right after the announcement, because they did stop allowing downloads, but not for like a week or two after the announcement. Like purchases and downloads have now stopped on it. So nobody new can join the game and nobody can buy anything anymore. But for a little bit after the announcement was made that they were shutting down the servers, they were still allowing new accounts and purchases. And so after all the long-term players quit en masse, you still had the new players coming in, and they were completely like clueless, and there were no long-term players to guide them. Except for very, very few of us long-term players who had stuck around. I felt really bad for them, the new guys. And then, of course, after they stopped allowing downloads of the game, absolute silence. Nobody asking for help in the world at all anymore. Complete, like you can go on there and be on there for hours and not a peep in the world. And very few people on there at all. So that's where it is now.
Well, even though I'm not playing Chimera Land, it always sucks when live service games shut down, because there's always people who enjoy them, even if they're bad. Not saying Chimera Land is bad. I know it was badly managed. I don't think the game was bad. But yeah, even if the game, even let's let's take a bad game. The game's bad. There's still somebody who will like it, who will feel at home, and then they lose their games. And it always makes me think about games preservation. And games are a work of art. And yeah, it disappear. And I wish they would make for all those MMOs shutting down. I don't know what type of work would go into them, but just as sake of preservation and making them still available, I wish there was like an offline client, something you could download and you would have the game as it was when it shut down. And sure, there won't be any new content and you won't be able to play with anybody, but at least you could wander in the game, do quests, and nowadays, even with AI, you could have NPCs acting as party members to do the dungeons and raids. I think there has to be a way to keep the game playable, not necessarily online, but anyway.
I agree, and I could be wrong, but I believe Arc did that. I haven't played Arc Mobile for a while, but I think that the current state it's at is that they don't have official server support anymore. They quit running their own servers, but they left the game available. I think people still have private servers. I'm not really 100% on that. I haven't logged in for a while.
My
And
son's
I
playing
know,
it, and yes, you are right. There's still private servers you can access to, and you can play offline on your own without the internet. But yeah, there's no official servers anymore.
yeah, that's why I was going to say, I know you can play offline because I've checked my offline game every now and then. So, and I think that's decent. That was a decent decision to make, to leave it so that people could still keep their offline games, and people who want to pay for a server can still keep running one. And I really wish they would have done something similar with Chimera Land, like made it so that people could have their own private servers, or played it offline, like you said. But that would mean that the management actually cared about the Western user base, which they really they made very pretty clear from the beginning that they did not at all care about anything but getting as much money from us as they could. And that, I think, is one of the major reasons it failed.
Yeah, fucking push to talk. Yeah, sounds
You
fair
forgot
enough.
again, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you're losing your Chimera Land. The podcast will change. Now we won't hear stories, wicked stories about Chimera Land. What's your next game gonna be? Have you found anything to fill the void that's upcoming?
Well, as you know, the other MMO I play and moderate in is Villagers and Heroes, and they've got major content update coming this year. So I'm looking forward to that. I will have to finally get off my rear end and level my character to max. I've only been playing for 5 years or so now, and well, maybe I'll get to max someday, and maybe I'll hit it just in time for there to be a new max.
I do look forward to new content. At some point, I kind of need some lore. I need some stories to go on. Grinding the same, you know, it's not a dig. It's not, but grinding the same even zone every season is. I don't know. It's not something I can really do nowadays. I'm playing nowadays. I'm playing a lot of arcadey game, very gameplay heavy, very like rewarding fast. Like you push button and it's fun. And MMOs are feel bloated to me nowadays. But I know that having some new stories to go through, new quests, new NPCs to meet. Yeah, that would give me some power to push through playing more. That's what I think.
The event zones don't bother me as much, maybe because they come and they go, and so it's kind of different because of the different times of the year. I don't grind them much, though. Maybe that's it. I mostly like the seasonal event zones because I put my characters, all of them, in outfits for it. And even if they don't take them into the event zone, I still dress them up. But um, maybe that's just the part of me that likes to play with dolls. Anywho.
My main character is always dressed for the season. I have my Halloween costume. I have my Valentine's season costume. My Christmas. Well, my Christmas costume is just my regular with a Christmas hat, but still, I change it every season. I
Yep.
try to keep with the theme, to keep up with the theme. But yeah, you're not weird. I do somewhat the same on a smaller scale.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. I think one of the reasons I have maybe dilly-dallied a lot and getting to the new content is that I think I really can't face grinding the same max level content over and over and over and over and over again. That that seems like just something that I would not really be thrilled about. So in other words, there's another game I've been playing, and That's Wildflowers. You remember that game I told you about? It's the farming
Yeah,
game,
yeah, yeah.
little.
Like Stardew Valley, but
Yeah,
in 3D and
with
not
them.
that much Stardew Valley. But, yeah, yeah. I know the game you were talking about.
Yeah. So they added some major new content.
Hold
Uh,
up, hold up, hold up, hold up. That means you renewed your Apple Arcade subscription, or is it
I
available
did. I
elsewhere?
saw that Wildflowers was dropping major new content, and I was like,
Well, I mean,
and yeah,
it's I know the price the price increased, but
it's
it's not
still a really good deal.
it's
Yeah.
not that much money. Yeah.
So I succumbed to temptation and I renewed my Apple Arcade, and yeah, I let go instead of my meditation subscription. So if I'm all wacky and off balance, it's all Apple Arcade's fault.
I'll pass the word. I'll contact them and tell them what they've done, so
Yes.
they can feel bad about themselves.
Yes, absolutely. They should feel bad about themselves. It's all their fault, not mine at all. Anyways, yes, so in Wildflowers, there's now a new NPC, and there are hairstyles and hair colors that you can change for your main character, which I actually didn't mind her hair before. It was her clothing that was really bothering me when I first started playing, but they added new clothes too. So now I can put her in, like, so she's not farming in a mini skirt and high heel booties. That really made me happy. So I've been playing that. I haven't gotten through all of the new content yet. So there's quite a bit of it. Um, and been having fun there too.
All right, seems like good news. Having fun in games is something that we should cherish these days. I've been my 2024 is um, is looking to be absolutely amazing gaming wise. I'm having a lot of fun gaming. Um, I finished Trails to Azure, which might be the best JRPGs I've ever played. It's definitely the best Trails game I've played. Um, it was quite a fantastic experience. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to go too in depth with it. But I finished that. It was amazing. Um, I've played. Right now, I'm in. I started speed running. I'm not a speed runner. I only speed run one game, and it's Coachbringer, and I've been going at it like a lot, like a whole lot, and I'm. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm getting kind of good at the game.
Toot it, toot your horn.
Right now, I'm at 16 minutes for a run. My next, if I want to climb the leaderboard, I need to do below 15:55. And I'm gonna do it. And the top spot is 8 minute 36. I don't know if I'll ever. I watched the run many times. It's a crazy run, and Scourgebringer is a roguelite, which means the map are always different. The mini boss that you will get are not always the same. The weapons you'll get are not the same. So while there is a big aspect of skill, like if you're not good at the game, you won't be able. Even if you get all the best stuff, you won't do 8 minute an 8 minute run. But there's still some luck involved, depending on what you'll get and how fast you'll find the rooms you need to, progress through each stage. So um, there's luck involved. I don't know if I'll ever. I don't think I can beat 8:36. It's kind of crazy, but I definitely want to climb this leaderboard. I'm really into it. Love the game. Bought the special collector limited edition. Did somewhat an unboxing, like a show and tell. It's up on the channel if you want to go see it. It's a fantastic edition and signed by the devs. It was it's a game saying I enjoy the game is it's not exactly. There's Mike that commented on the video. that I did the not the unboxing, but you know, he said, "Congrats on getting your hands on a copy. I know that you really enjoy the game, and really enjoying the game, Mike, is not exactly how I would describe my relationship with that game. It's one hell of a game. I really love this game. Um, I don't quite enjoy it. I don't really like it. It's almost like, you know, a sickness at this point. Um, yeah, I've been playing that a lot. And lastly, I've been starting to play Near Automata, which is somewhat of a classic game. I mean, it's from 2017. It's not an old game, but it's a highly praised game. And playing it's crazy. The cinematic views. Sometimes it's a side scroller. Sometimes it's a third person hack and slash. Sometimes it's a shmup. The music is crazy good. Um, the story is getting me going. Seems you need to finish the game like 5 times to get the whole story, because every time you restart a game, you'll get new stuff and the stories from different perspectives. Um, I'm really into it. Played like 3 hours so far. Off to a good start. I need some breaks between my speed running stuff. Speed running is pretty intense. Yeah, anyway, that was my rambling about what I've been playing. And go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I watched you play Scourgebringer, and I think I kind of get why you love that combat so much. It's this sort of similar feeling that I get from Chimera Land combat, I think, because I didn't really enjoy the combat there until I discovered like Fan and Pippa and some other of the combat options where I like to get up in the air. There are things that weapons that will like hold you in the air, and then you can zip about like as long as your endurance holds out. And so I started to pump my endurance. Um and it's so much fun, like zipping around in the air and hitting things.
Yes, you have a lot of freedom with the movement in Scorebringer, and what you're telling me about Chimereland makes me, yeah, I think it's somewhat the same feeling in a very different environment, but um, the the fact that yes, you're completely free of where to go. You can stay up in the air. In the collector's edition, there's a long interview, like 32 pages interview with the main dev of the game, and he said that the combat was very, very inspired by Devil May Cry. I don't know if you're familiar with Devil May Cry, but it's an action game where there's a lot of aerial combos and juggling enemies, and keeping them stunned to do crazy stuff to them. And I can see it. It's presented in a very different way. But yeah, I can see Devil May Cry in Scourgebringer in some ways. I understand that they could be inspired by that. But yeah, the combat is crazy, and the music is crazy. The pixel art is perfect to me. Even the lore is great for a roguelite. The first time I've played, I really enjoyed finding all the missing pieces and constructing the puzzle of what happened and why you're here and etc. Anyway, now the lore is very secondary because I know it and I just want to beat time scores, um, but still, it's a fantastic package. Uh,
Yeah, it's funny because I actually have terrible reflexes, so I never expected that I would really enjoy high mobility combat, but I do. I absolutely love high mobility combat. And I just have to get my reflexes a little better.
well, the most you will know about the game, the less reflexes you'll have to to have. When you learn the combat pattern, what the enemies can do, there's always when a game, at least when a game is made well, there when there's good design, there will be some tells, there will be some visual sound, there will be something telling you what's coming up next, and Scourgebringer is very good at that. So it's more a matter of learning what each enemies can and can do, what are the signs to look out for, and choose the correct way to respond. The more I play, I feel the less reflexes I need, and I just know what's coming, and I know where to go. Uh, and I'm still learning stuff. I've played this game for like 120 hours now. And keep in mind, it's a game you can finish in, when you're not speed running, you can finish this game in 30 minutes. A run is not very long. The first time you'll play it, you will die all the time, come back to the beginning, and it's going to be, you won't beat the game in 30 minutes the first time you play, but there's like 30 minutes of content to go through. So it's a pretty short game. I've played it for 100 hours plus, and last week I learned that when you're on a wall, if you hold L1, you're going to stick to the wall and not fall down. That's a game changer, and I didn't know about it. So it's kind of crazy.
Oh, wow. So you have been doing as well as you have without knowing a major move. That's really impressive.
It does change some tactics, we'll say. But it's I've watched a bunch of videos, Ghostbringer, and it's not a well-known. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I've seen it, but it's not something that I've seen often. And the way I learned it actually is not by playing myself. The dev. I'm going through like it's from 5 years ago. There's a playlist on YouTube where the dev is doing the dev vlogs. Like every few weeks, months, he was doing some streams saying, "Here's what I've been doing. Here what the codes look like. Here's what we change, what we want to do, and etc." It's fun to watch in post, like once the game is released, and you can see how it was made and what were the challenges. Um, and at some point in a stream I've watched, he's explaining the mechanics. Oh, if you press L1, you're gonna stick to a wall. I was like, what? Is this still in the game? Is it a mechanic that exists right now? And so I once I got back home, fired up the game, tested it, and I was, oh my god, what a crazy mechanic that I didn't know about. So anyway, this is how I learned.
That's cool. Just goes to show watching and reviewing basics sometimes get you things that you didn't know.
Oh, absolutely. And I realized that I started talking about games I've played, not knowing if you were done with the games you've played since we last talked. Was there anything besides Chimera Land and Wildflowers?
Not really, no. I fired up Gibbon very, 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 very briefly, about 5-10 seconds of it. And then I rage quit because the instructions were driving me nutso. But I will go back to it. But I didn't play it, so I can't really comment on that.
Alrighty. So this was pretty much that for me too. So another things we could talk about, since it's our first podcast for 2024, is your hopes for 2024 gaming wise. What would you like to see? Is there something you're very looking forward to gaming wise? A game, a trend? I don't know. Anything you wish for in 2024 in gaming?
Well, I have two wishes, and neither of them are likely to come true, but I would wish for a PC so that I could play Rising World. And I would wish for another game like Chimera Land to come out, that so I could have Something like Chimera Land, but hopefully without the serious daily grind, something that I could play on a more casual basis.
Yeah, Chimera Land is kind of one of a kind. I've seen stuff. You've showed me stuff, and I've seen a few videos on it. It's wild. There's no other games quite like this. That
Nothing even close. I mean, Ark comes the closest, but no, doesn't
it's not that wacky.
it
Yeah,
doesn't scratch the surface of the mechanics though. That's the other thing is Chimera Land has really, really, really deep mechanics that even after playing for 2+ years, I don't know them all. I feel like I barely know them. Like I was talking about the weapons that I discovered, and I discovered that hey, I actually like combat here after all. Okay, there are no classes in Chimera Land. Anybody can use any weapon, and it's actually really cool because you can really change up your combat style depending on which weapon set out you have. You have a hotbar of 5 slots, and you are actually supposed to use more than one weapon in a battle. Um, I have a standard of 3 to 4 that I use for most battles, and then depending on the enemy, I may change out some of those. But there are also different attacks that you can get as drops and add on to weapons. And they're addable to multiple different weapon types, but not all weapon types. And these attacks affect one another. They have status effects and stuff that sometimes build upon or cancel other status effects. So it gets really, really, really complicated with combos. But if you look up Chimera Land combos, you'll see some very popular ones that people have recorded and shown how, say, if you use these two weapons together, you have to go farm and get these attacks, put it on these weapons, and if you use this attack, and then while it's in cooldown, you use this attack, and then while that's in cooldown, you switch back to the first weapon, and you use this other attack, and you have these two status effects building on each other now, and you pull off this third thing, you're going to have a really, really, really powerful attack that's going to really devastate your enemy.
seems to be quite a bit more deep than one would think. Like looking at the game on the surface level.
And that's just scratching the surface, seriously, because other things also affect it. Like your attendants have their own skill set. And your pets have their own skill set. And there are attendants whose skills build upon each other. So if you're playing in a team and you're using one attendant and they're using another attendant type, and you use certain skills together, they build on each other.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool. So yeah, I wish you to find a game to replace Chimera Land. I can't suggest any. I don't know any game that looks like Chimera Land. As far as the PC, well, I wish it for you too. I know Rising World is something you really, really want to play, and that you're keeping an eye out for it. Yeah, that sucks. There's a few games I would like to play that I don't have a system for, and it's somewhat annoying. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, I wish you can find a PC. I don't know how pricey it is right now to get a PC that could run Rising World. I have no idea.
And of course, what he told you about weapons skills and pet skills, that's one thing. And then there's a whole nother thing with life skills and stars points, and there's just so many. I think it's a little bit of like they threw everything in the kitchen sink in there, and that might have contributed a bit to the failing because people get overwhelmed.
maybe it comes into the I don't know if you're familiar with the emergent gaming, like emergent. See, I'm not that familiar with it because I'm not too sure of how you say it. Um, but it's like giving player a lot of tools, and so they can use their creativity to solve problems in games, or create new gameplay types. Like the devs is giving you a bunch of tools, and it's up to you to decide how to combine them and use them. And so um, it makes like quest solvable in many different ways. And I feel it can apply to combat too. You're giving a bunch of weapon, a bunch of skills. It's up to you to see how you mix and match them without the dev having tested like all the options there is. Just here's a bunch of stuff. Let's see what you will come up with. Type of gameplay. I
Yeah,
feel there's that to it.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Yeah, that's really what it is. There's so many ways you can take things that yeah, it's not possible for the devs to have tested every possible path or option out there. And I think that's part of what I loved about Chimera Land is that there was room for individuality, there's room for you to go your own way. It's just a lot of work figuring it out, and it was very unforgiving in that if you made a mistake or tested something wrong, you could spend another few weeks grinding to make up for that.
Yeah, I found a definition. Emergent gameplay refers to complex situations in video games that emerge from the interaction of relatively simple game mechanics. So yeah, the game mechanics in themselves are not that complex, but it's just since you can put 20 together, it becomes complex and new. This is how I understand it. But anyway, my on my end, I don't have much hopes. I was looking forward to Persona 3 Reloaded, like a remake of one of my favorite JRPGs, but it's $100. And I'm sorry, but I don't pay $100. I don't pay $100 for a license on the PlayStation Store to play a game that could be removed at some point. I thought it was a bit insulting. That said,
Especially since it's not even a new game, right?
I
It's a
mean,
remake.
they've redone everything. It's not just a HD version. They've redone the game, but yes, it's the same story. It's mostly the same, like enemies and mechanics, and sure they've updated, modernized a few things, but yeah, I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy. I don't want to encourage that. It costed me less than half of that to get my hand-signed super duper limited collector's edition of Scourgebringer, physical with the 64 pages booklet, the soundtrack, a bunch of goodies. I mean, yeah, I'm not paying $100. Um, that said, we got it at the library, so I'm definitely gonna borrow that and at least try it. Uh, my biggest wish for 2024 is to get a PS5. I would like to modernize my PS4. Uh, there's a few games I would like to play that I can't because it's not available for PS4, and the new games that are available on PS4 have awful loading times, like crazy loading times, and I'm getting fed up with waiting 2 minutes every time I die in something to. I mean, indie pixel art game like Scourgebringer are fine. It's loading incredibly fast, but for example, Wanted Dead. is a PS5 game that also have a PS4 version, and I've played the PS4 version. And every time I die, I get to the loading screen. I timed it at some point; it was close to 2 minutes.
Oof, that's long enough to go make yourself a cup of tea and come back.
Yep. And in Wanted Dead, it's a pretty hard game. You will die quite a few times, so you're always waiting, and not just when you die, also when you load a new level, when you come back to the hub, when you start a mini game. It's always almost 2 minutes every each transition, and I want faster loading time, and I want to have access to like Baldur's Gate 3,
You wonder
Returnal.
if there's like something they could do so that if you die, you don't have to reload from the beginning. Like it could do it faster. I mean, it
Probably.
seems some things that it's gonna need a long loading time, but that seems like you're in the same setting, you're in the same battle. Isn't there a way to shortcut that a bit?
Probably it probably comes with optimization, and watching the dev vlogs of Scourgebringer, I was kind of I don't know that much about game development and how they are made. I've watched
I
a
don't
few.
either, so I don't
Yeah,
actually know anything if it's possible or not. I'm just wondering.
I've watched a few dev vlogs over the years, and I watched a few. Like the game developer conference, the GDC, I think it's called. Sometimes I'm listening while I work to some conferences about how they made this mechanic in a game, or how they implemented X or Y things. So over the years, I've learned a bit of how they're made, but I'm really not. I don't understand it all. But watching the devlog of Scourgebringer, at some point, he was talking about optimization, and it's very finicky, and it's very small things in the code that you can put in and that will do stuff. I cannot explain it well, but surely there is some optimization that's missing in a game where when you reload the boss fight that was already loaded when you die, why does it have to reload it all? I don't know. Maybe there's some other ways to do it, and they don't, because maybe it takes a lot of time. Maybe optimization is very complex and it can break other stuff. I don't know, but yeah,
Or
I'm
maybe
in the
it
same boat.
opens it up to cheating or something. Like if you reload the boss fighter without having reloading everything, maybe there's a way to cheat that or something so that I don't know. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, maybe.
guessing because, as I said, I don't know anything about game programming.
Any other hopes you would like to share, or do we go to the stupid question?
Well, for more realistic hopes, because like I said, I do not think that I really don't think that anything like Chimeraland's gonna come out, at least not for a long time, maybe not ever. Well, probably at some point, because there were quite a few people who enjoyed Chimeraland. Um, and the people who stuck through playing it, everybody said they absolutely love it, and it's unique, and there's nothing out there like it. So there's definitely an audience for a game like it if it was done better.
I mean, I'm quite sure at some point you're going to get a game that looks like it, because there's a lot of games coming out in 2022. Like 14,000 games were released on Steam alone. So, at some point in those thousands of games coming out each year, I can't believe none will be a bit like Chimera Land at some point. It's
Well, we need it on mobile for me, at least.
yeah.
Because, yeah, I can't do the PC gaming. So I guess my more realistic hope is that just something good comes out.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. There's a bunch of good games coming out. there's more good games than that I have time to play it. So
Oh, something good on mobile comes out.
yeah, okay, yeah. That's a bit harder than at some point.
And that has crossplay with PC, because I've got a lot of friends that play on PC and I play on mobile, and I would love, love, love to have a nice MMO that I could play with them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's do the time's running short, and it's tiring to press the button to speak. Gonna be honest. Okay, so for the well, it's not that stupid, but I was curious to have your take on this. For I said week again, like we haven't recorded a podcast in like 3 months. It's not the question of the week. It's the question of the podcast. Some people say that video games are a waste of time. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree vehemently. I think if video games are a waste of time, then any hobby is. They are a hobby like any other, and like any other hobby, there's a human need to have a leisure activity, to have stress relief, to have something that stimulates your brain. It's just it's a need as we as humans. If you do nothing but drudgery all day, it has devastating effects on people, and it's not good for you. You need leisure time, and leisure time activity. And not only that, but with MMOs, it's a social leisure time activity. And in addition, speaking as a disabled person myself, it's really, really nice to have a social leisure time activity that I can do without killing my body, to try to get out there and see people, and then I have to take the pushback and sickness from it. But if online, it doesn't hurt me. So it's really very valuable, I think. And of course, for people who work in the video game activity, that's their job, it's their livelihood. It's puts bread on their table and a roof over their heads. So that's obviously valuable to them to have a job.
I completely agree with this. I like the sentence: "Time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time." But apart from that sentence, at some point there was this. I have a friend, and he were talking about video games, and he was like, "Oh man, the video games they're such a waste of time." And he was watching all the NHL matches, like all the hockey matches on TV. And I was like, I mean, I don't know, dude. So watching hockey matches is well invested time, and playing video games is wasted time. I'm sorry, but you know, a corpse could watch hockey, at night television thing. A corpse cannot play video game, so I
Well,
don't know.
they say TV rots your brain, and it's pretty much true. Like, TV is not good for you brain wise. It does not stimulate your brain. They've done experiments where they measure brain waves, blah blah blah. TV's basically dead time. Whereas video games, on the other hand, engage your brain. They do. Now, depending on the type of video game, it may be better or not so good for your brain. Like, I know this is going to be very unpopular, but it is true that video games with high violence make people a little more inured to violence in real life. It's multiple studies have shown this. I'm not going to stop loving video games, but I'm also not the type of person to pretend that the truth isn't the truth. So
I mean, not all video games are created equal, and they obviously have different effects on different people. You know, pretty much like any activity. There's some video games are casino disguised as a game, which creates some gambling habits and I mean, sure.
exactly,
But
it's
yeah,
not all good. However, there's a lot more good. And there are
yeah, I
certainly
just find
games
it
that
funny.
do engage your brain. So
I just find it funny when some people will talk smack, smack talk video games, and they watch Netflix 7 hours a day, and I'm like, yeah, sure, you do you. Let me play my games. Yeah.
Yeah. In general, games are much better for you than watching TV.
All right. Let us know what you think in the comment section about if games are a waste of time. I suppose our listeners will say it's not, because if they spend like an hour listening to us talking about games, I suppose at least they think that playing them is not a waste of time. All right. So it was not an easy episode to do, but we've done it. Thanks
We
a
did it.
bunch.
We persevered.
Yes, we did it anyway. Thanks a lot for taking time to talk about games with me.
Well, thank you. Fun as always.
Yeah, I mean, almost as fun as always. We need to find a solution, but we will. I'm gonna read into it this week.
Yes, I'll do some reading too. The power of reading.
Yes, and we'll try to come up with a solution. If I need to learn OBS, I will. But it doesn't seem like it's solving all the issues for everybody. So
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll find something. All right, it's enough. Thanks a bunch, and
thank you.
Now go do something else. Go play games. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.